Hi everybody, you're here with Parents Magazine and we have Kristen Bell who just finished a full day of shooting for us here and she's going to be here with us for the next 20 minutes taking your questions about motherhood and life. So Kristen, welcome, it's so great to have you here.
Thank you.
We have some good questions already coming in. Shali Sajani, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, asks, what would your advice be to working mothers in regards to juggling and balancing a positive home life? And she says, and all, that's all caps, and all that we have to do as moms, LOL.
Yes, it's a tough one because there is no simple answer to balancing anything. I attack that by coming from a place of what's my personal responsibility to myself, to my family, to my babies, and I think that that is keeping a positive attitude. And even when I'm tired, realizing that nothing good comes out of my negativity, nothing good comes out of overreacting. So for me, it's just finding those moments where I can center myself and be patient. And if that means leaving the room because your kids are driving you nuts, great, then do it. Whatever you feel gets you on the road to being the best parent, because I think we all are obsessed with the idea of having everything perfect and we forget about ourselves. So I find a balance by really prioritizing myself, and it doesn't necessarily mean go and get a massage every day or something extravagant. It could mean stepping outside the room for 5 minutes and just sitting on the stoop and just breathing.
That's great. You know, there's a follow-up question from Rachel Carrasquillo Ortiz. She says, what do you do when you have a chance for your own mommy time? So besides sitting on the stoop, anything else you do?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me start with, we have 2 kids, and when my husband and I, either of us are particularly frustrated with one, which that frustration can build very quickly when one of them is being a real jerk. We tap out and we switch. So I'll come into the room and go, I need to switch. I need the younger one, or he will say the same thing. So besides leaning on my partner, we make it a priority to allow the other person to have workout time, which doesn't always consist of workout time for me. Sometimes it's just walking on a treadmill, watching a TV show, or walking around the block listening to a podcast. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but it always makes me feel better, and I think I recognize that in my husband as well. So I just say, you know what, I need 20 minutes today. I need a half an hour today to work out, and it's time for me to just focus on myself. It's like when I was younger and I'd go through a breakup, I'd always say, how can I make the best of it? And I'm like, you know what? I don't have a partner. Maybe it just means I'm supposed to do 30 straight days of yoga and then feel amazing about how I can stretch afterwards, or feel like I have a really good spine. Like for me, it's getting some physical activity, because that translates itself to endorphins and comfort later on in the day.
That's fabulous. Now we have a couple of comments. Callie Shatika says she just watched your Africa video and loved it. And then we have a question. We have a question about the Africa. This is from Let Us Go On This Way. This one was posted earlier today on Instagram, and she says, hey Kristen, we like to travel with mom and dad, and we really liked your trip to Africa. Next time you go, will you take your kids, and what adventures do you recommend for little travelers, little adventurers?
Well, I know you can't really safely take them to Africa, at least on safari, until they're a little older, because they kind of just look like sandwich meat to all of the lions on the Serengeti. But I don't really know. I mean, I don't actually think traveling while they're really little is the best of ideas for me, because a lot of it involves plane time, and they're not really imprinting going to Europe or seeing, you know, the Berlin Wall or anything fabulous that adults would recognize. I feel like just having those be parents' trips until they're maybe early teens, and isolating, like going to a water park or going to Six Flags or Cedar Point or Disneyland, is better for the kids. But I do think that if they are maybe 13, 14 years old, I think cruises are a great idea, because you get a consistent place to stay, safety, and you get to see a lot of different countries. And I think it's really cool to have kids keep a journal about where they go and what they've seen. And I think it's really fun to do research on the country ahead of time, so you know what you're looking for. You know that there are tons of different people in the world, and they are different cultures, and they eat different food, and they speak different languages, and how sort of tracking how you experience all of that would be really cool later on.
Fabulous. Now, Carolyn Katz Davidson wants to know, do you and your husband do it yourselves, or do you have help?
We do it all the time, Carolyn. Anytime we can. Was that the question?
Well, I think she might be talking about taking care of the kids.
Understood. No, we do have help because we both work pretty much full-time. Shooting is full-time, although it's erratic because a movie job will last 2 months, and then maybe either of us will have 1 week off or 6 weeks off, and then we'll go back to shooting a TV show for 6 months. It's you know, self-employment. It's up and down, but we are very, very, very lucky that his little sister helps us watch the kids, and she is like, it's a trifecta of parenting. She is absolutely in charge when we're not there, and I think there's really something about having an auntie involved where my kids, she doesn't let things slide. But yes, we absolutely depend on help that we trust because we know we can't do it alone.
So now Kristen Flynn wants to know, it's like the best of times and the worst of times, right? So Kristen Flynn wants to know, what's your least favorite thing about being a mom and your favorite? And Kristen, is a mom of 4, 2 of whom are twins.
Oh, Kristen. Oh, Kristen. Let me just say that I couldn't imagine twins. From what I've seen and what I've heard, you are a true superhero. Even just the fact that you have to be a milk truck for them, for 2 people. I got pregnant while I was still breastfeeding, and it didn't last much into the pregnancy because I was extremely fatigued. I was feeding 3 people. I was feeding this one, and the baby, and myself. I think I forgot the question. What was the question?
The best and the worst.
The best and the worst.
Yeah.
Oh, the best by far is their smell. The best is their smell. I open their door at night and just smell the room. They share a room, and both of their baby smells. It's what I imagine heroin to be like. And when they hold your hands, feeling their little sausage fingers, I often just close my eyes and go like, just imprint this, just remember this, because they won't be like this forever. And the worst, without question, is that they wake up so early. I mean, it's rude. It's just rude.
So we got a more serious question from Lindsay Danes. Lindsay says, what is the strongest message you think you could share about stopping the stigma of mental illnesses?
Ooh.
That's a doozy, I know.
You know, nothing is solved or eradicated until we start talking about it. Just talk about it. And I think if you're hesitant to talk about it, like many people are, examine why you are. Because if you really write it down on paper, why you're hesitant to talk about it, you'll see the chain of events is that, well, I was sort of given the subconscious message that this made me weaker, or this made me incomplete, or this made me weak. And the fact is, that's just baloney. And until you hear examples representing things for the better, which is, would you ever deny a diabetic his insulin? Would you ever look at a diabetic and say, you know what, you are weaker with that shot, you shouldn't take that shot. You should really just try to process the sugar all by yourself. No, that's absurd. It's absurd. And science has isolated why mental illness exists in a lot of different studies. And if you have a serotonin imbalance or any one of the other mental illnesses that exist, they're more prevalent than we think because we don't talk about them. And until we start talking about them and stop looking at them as a weakness and instead look at it as a way that I'm taking care of myself. I don't go to the gym because I'm weak. I go because I want to better my body and better me as a human being. So I think the one way to stop it is to just start being more casual, like stop walking on eggshells around it.
Great. Now I have to ask this question from Amanda Bell, who I think is not a relative, right?
Maybe. There are a lot of bells.
There are a lot of bells, right. She wants to know, what has been your favorite family moment this summer?
Well, my girls just started riding bikes, and we have in the driveway areas where they suit up and they put their pads on. And I recently bought 2 outdoor lazy boy recliners because we've been spending so much time out there. We thought, let's give ourselves some comfort. And in the evenings, my husband and I go sit outside and just watch them circle and look at me do this, look at me do this, and they just ride their bikes. And then when the sun is setting and we're watching that, there's really nothing better.
I just have to tell you, Irene Valdez says awesome advice and thoughts on being open about mental illness. I love you. So lots of thumbs up for that answer there. Here's a good one. Sarah Miller wants to know, what do you think is the secret to the staying power of Frozen? I'm pretty sure my almost 5-year-old will still be just as obsessed from now until the next one comes out.
You know, I don't know. I think you can never really know what perfects a recipe. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of brilliant minds. Their creative team on Frozen was exceptional. But I think everybody just had a little bit of stardust on them. They also really committed to the idea of modernizing the fairy tale and genuinely not having it be a typical love story and proving the love of family and the love of acceptance and telling the story about someone who beat themselves up for no reason and how a family member could pull them out of that. And I think, I don't know, it was just all the right elements at the right time.
It caught fire, that's for sure. Now, Jasmine Carricker says, I love your positivity about body image. How do you keep your confidence while going through the changes of motherhood, such as stretch marks and weight gain?
Well, it's funny. I'll tell you how I do it. I constantly check in with myself. I'm also have committed to prioritizing my health over anything else, no matter what size I am. So if I turn 50 and I'm 100 pounds heavier, but I'm still active and eating well, then that's my body shape. But I feel like, when, particularly with pregnancy, I was very, very focused on when I would lose the baby weight. I think because of my job, I'm supposed to exist in fairy tales. I'm supposed to show you fictionalized stories of fancy things on TV and in movies, and you want to see something fabulous. So you generally want someone that's in shape. And that was hard for me, as it would be for anyone. And I think I asked all my friends, like, how long did it take you to lose your baby weight? And I psychologically got wound up about it. And then when I had the baby, I realized that voice was diminishing, and I just cared that I was healthy, and I allowed that to be my narrative as opposed to sticking with the negative one. I think a lot of it is choosing your narrative. What do you want to think about? Stop saying, how can I do this? Ask yourself, what do I want to think about? What do I want my narrative to be? Because your character is your destiny. So if you're going to say, I'm comfortable with my body, you're going to inch closer to being comfortable with your body. And as far as like stretch marks or rolls, when I look down at my belly and see extra skin, I'm reminded that I've done something extraordinary. And they happen to be walking around the house, sometimes screaming at me.
At 5 in the morning.
At 5 in the, oh, so rude. So rude. But I think, it's not I'm not saying it's an easy fix, but it's easier than you think when you involve personal responsibility and you simply tell yourself no. I also will say one more thing. There's a trick I've learned that they use in when people are trying to get sober, where they'll have you put a baby picture of yourself in your wallet, and you will pull it out, and I guess you say, like, would you give this baby drugs? Would you tell this baby to do these drugs right now? When you can extract yourself from the situation, your thoughts are a lot less turbulent. So when you look in the mirror and say, or look at a baby picture of yourself and say, what do I want this girl to feel about her body? It helps. It's a weird mind trick, but it really does help, and it can set you on a better, easier path to body image.
Great. Total change of pace. Andrea Griffin Neal says, the babies are sleeping. What are you binge watching?
Oh, how much time do you have? So many things. We just finished all the seasons of The Americans, which is an exceptional show. Obviously, we watch Game of Thrones. We are weekly. We watch Frontline, 60 Minutes, and John Oliver. I find them to be very good news sources, fairly unbiased, depending on which one you're talking about. But oh wow, what else? We just started watching Last Man on Earth, which we really enjoy.
Fantastic. Now, Bad Moms comes out next week, right? We've had a couple of comments about that. We have people saying they're looking forward to seeing it. I have to know. I get to ask a question, maybe. Anything you related to in the script, in the character? Anything relatable to real life?
Yeah, it's funny. All 6 of us who are in the movie are real moms, and we all get this question a lot. And I think I related to different aspects of each character because they actually represented each frustrating mom thing well with each character. But the overview, the message is just, what do you do when you feel overextended and underappreciated? Which I think every mom does, and I think they feel that way because we desire this perfection, and you think perfection is the goal, but the tricky thing is it's not. The goal is actually being okay with your failures, because no one can be perfect. I mean, I mess up all the time at home, all the time, and I just like refuse to beat myself up for it. I'm just not. When I burn dinner, I'm not going to beat myself up for it. It's just a thing that happened, and I get over it. So yes, I definitely related to trying to keep everything contained and perfectly wrapped and ribboned for as long as you can until you break. And that's the thing. If you try to keep it perfect, you will break.
Great answer. Now, Misty Marion wants to know, did Dax do anything special for your birthday that you can share with us?
Yes. Well, he woke me up with my matcha tea. He let me sleep in a little bit and woke up with the kids. He's very thoughtful. He got me an anklet for my birthday, which I love. He has a rule in our house that you can celebrate your birthday until you decide it's not your birthday anymore, which I really enjoy. And my birthday went well into September last year, which really all that means is you get to make the decisions. So I decide the shows we watch, and I decide what we eat for dinner, or if we go out, or if we go to the park, or if we're going in the pool. And it's fun. And then after a while you get decision fatigue, and you go, you know what, it's not my birthday anymore. It's not.
So Rachel Shoini, I'm probably not pronouncing your name correctly, Rachel, I'm sorry.
Rachel.
Sends love from Ireland. I just wanted you to know.
Oh, Ireland.
Yeah. So let's see.
What time is it there, Rachel?
It's got to be like, I have no idea. Melissa Hickle wants to know, do you want a pet sloth?
Ooh, it's a tricky question. In short, yes. In long, no, because I do not believe in the exotic animal trade under any circumstance. I believe animals should be in the wild. Would it be great and lovely? Yes, and it will only exist in my mind because I don't believe in caging animals unless they're domesticated.
So now, another question, this one from Rebecca. Oh, this is from Rebecca Henry. She wants to know, where do you get your matching pajamas?
Oh, Hannah Anderson.
Love Hannah.
Yeah, Hannah Anderson has great ones. And there's also a couple of more random PJ sites, but if you type into Google matching family pajamas, you'll get a couple of them. But
and they're organic cotton, right?
The Hannah Andersons are organic cotton, yeah. And we have those for Christmas where we all wear the same ones, yeah. Those are great.
Well, we're coming to the end here. I think we just have one more minute, and I know you guys have tons and tons of questions. I'm trying to find one that won't take like too much time to answer. Let's see. Here's a good one. This is a great kind of wrap up, I think. Ileana Francesco Molina Pineda Moreno, which that is one beautiful name, says, I think we moms put pressure on each other to be the perfect mom. What do you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think more than putting pressure, we love as humans to categorize things. It makes us feel safer. There's been studies that tell you that you have to categorize something immediately. Like, I have to know that this is Pillow, and Pillow will not eat my kids, and Pillow will not, attack me. And you categorize everything so quickly, you're not really thinking things through. And I think more than putting pressure on moms, we like to alienate certain moms by saying, oh, those are granola moms, those are tiger moms, those are this type of mom or this type of mom. And it can be fun when it's in jest, but I think the reality is there are a million different types of moms because there are a million different types of kids. Because some kids don't thrive with a certain type of teaching behavior. And I think that it's great that different styles of parenting exist and different types of moms. I mean, obviously I would love to see all those moms veer towards healthy stuff. But again, even I question that because I'm like, that's my view. But that I just want everyone to live longer. But yeah, I think separating the group in general of moms can be very detrimental to the power that we know we all have.
Well, Kristen, thanks so much for being with us here today. Thank you all, everybody who shared your comments and your questions. I wish we could answer every single one. Any final words for us, Kristen, before we say goodbye?
Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot.
This is the first thing we've done since we became Riley's parents.